Hello and welcome to the next Lukozer retro game review video. For this one it is Defender, which was released by Williams Electronics in 1980. So we are going back quite a bit here, certainly quite a contrast to the last two games. Now when this came along, it was, to put it mildly, quite revolutionary. Prior to this, almost every game took place in just one screen. There was no scrolling or anything like that. And then along comes this. Not only is there horizontal scrolling, you can control the speed at which the scrolling actually takes place. Even today, there aren't a huge number of games that allow you to do that. I don't know why. Well, actually, I've got a rough idea as to why. And it's the only issue I have with this game. Although that said, there's also an easy way around it. There are no shortage of Defender clones out there for any computer. This is another one like Space Invaders, where just about every 8-bit computer you could name had a Defender clone available for it. In fact, even every 16-bit computer you could name has a Defender clone of it. And with the Amiga I had Star Ray, which I thought was a fucking superb game. But Star Ray did tweak the controls somewhat, and it tweaked them for the better. With this game, I do have a bit of an issue with the controls. They are not easy. The arcade cabinet had buttons everywhere. There was no joystick, so you had buttons for every control, which was to move up and down, understandably. Then you had a button for thrust, a button for reverse to change your direction, a button for fire, a button for hyperspace, and a button for smart bomb. So you had all these buttons all over the place, and it took a hell of a long time to be able to memorize, or as near as damn it memorize, what each of the controls did. And I freely admit I am having a hell of a hard time doing that at the moment, which is why I have been rather putting off reviewing this game, because the controls I'm having such a fucking hard time with. And if we bring up the controls here, so you have your up down, then you have fire, thrust, smart bomb, height, space, and reverse. So there are 7 controls, 7 buttons plus the 1-player or 2-player start on the arcade cabinet. Now I'm playing this with the Xbox 360 controller, which means that the 5 buttons aside from the directional control are, well, easy to reach, but it's also a case of having to remember which one's which. A lot of the time I find myself using the smart bomb when I'm meant to be using the thrust, or if I'm trying to reverse. So anyway, do you really need me to describe how to play Defender? Well, just in case you have been living under a rock for the past, 500 centuries, you have to destroy all of the enemy alien vessels that are flying around, and they are trying to capture the human colonists from the surface of the planet. If they do, and you destroy the ship that has captured that particular person, you can then rush in, as this is about to demonstrate, rescue the captive, and then put them back down on the surface and job done. If you fail to rescue them and the lander there does capture them, it turns into a mutant, which is a lot more difficult to take out. The beta comes along if you take too long to do a level. Bombers, pods and swarmers, they all turn up around level 3, I think, onwards. So, right, let's give this a go and hope for the best. Here we go. Now, as became something of a trademark for Williams video games, this game is very heavy on the sound effects and visual effects. Oh, fuck it. I also forgot to mention that if all of the humans on the surface are killed, oh fuck it, then that's game over. So there is a mutant. Actually, compared to some of my practice goes, I'm not doing too bad here. I've not used the smart bomb yet, but I will use it now. And I got shot before I actually had the chance to do anything with it. I don't use the hyperspace feature at all because a lot of the time it puts you somewhere rather risky whether you like it or not. Oh, fuck it. Thought I might have got that fucker, but no. I think there is another mutant around as well. There he is. And now another one's just fucking shown up. Oh, you... Oh. I have got further in terms of levels before, but... well, the fact that I'm even on the high score is something quite unbelievable. So, where am I? 8th on today's greatest. And the all-time greatest, you can see there I'm 6th. That was one of my warm-up goes. That was probably one of my best goes I've had for a fucking long time. Anyway, so other features that I haven't yet mentioned. Obviously there is the scanner above, which is more than just decoration. It is absolutely fucking essential, giving you a good idea of what is out there and how many of them and how far away they are. So yeah, the scanner is, you know, unlike a lot of these games, although admittedly mostly games that came along a lot later, they had the scanner there, but it was nothing short of decoration. It was certainly didn't actually prove to be all that useful. In Defender, it is more than fucking useful. It is your lifeline. So right, bung in another credit. Let's have another bash. Like Space Invaders and Pac-Man and all that guff, there were electronic, you know, handheld games of Defender as well. Alright, so I rescued that one. I'm not going to rescue this one though. Fuck me. Oh, you cunt. It's one of those fucking... yeah, that's taking too long. Oh, fuck it, here we go. So I'm using the fucking smart bomb when I'm supposed to be using the thruster. So I've rather wasted 2 smart bombs there. There we go. Just about got away with that. And again, destroyed by those fucking pod things. Oh, fuck me, that was close. There's the bomber things, and fuck that up as well. That's game over again. As you can see, games can be over very quickly. That's and yeah, that was a bit of a trademark of games in the day. They threw you in at the deep end, and you needed to get some hefty amount of practice in order to actually get anywhere. Right, another go. Picked up one. Thought I'd caught it, but not quite. Another one's been caught there. Again, I couldn't catch it. This fucker's about to turn into a mutant. Just about got away with that. Didn't quite get hit in time. That's the best I've done on that level for a fucking long time. I'm not going to do that well this time. Oh, fucking not again. Every time I go to use the smart bomb, I end up getting myself fucking blown up. So I've got the bombers turning up. I've got some more mutants about to show up. There's one. Oh, fucking come on! Jesus fucking Christ! And I don't know how the fuck I managed to last this long. Yeah. I think I have fucking mutants all over the screen. Yeah, I think there are more mutants than there are regular landers. So I started off okay, but then made a complete fuck up of it. Yeah, didn't even get on the fucking high score sheet that time. Now the later games, such as Star A, which I have reviewed on the Amiga, I think refined the controls a hell of a lot, and the game became a lot better as a result. Instead of having separate buttons for thrust and reverse, you simply move the joystick left or right, and you would accelerate in the direction that you were moving the joystick in, and to reverse you simply, if you were travelling left, you move the joystick right and you would reverse that way. And it was just so much simpler, and I wish they had implemented that in this game. It would have made it a lot easier to play. That said, you could never say that Defender was a bad game. It certainly fucking isn't. It's an incredibly difficult game. It's a serious fucking challenge, but if you are able to do well in it, then well, you were quite special back in the day if you were able to do well at this. This was the game that really did sort of separate the men from the boys. In 79 and 78, people were able to get through, various waves of Space Invaders, but on this, no, they were being wiped out in next to no time. And if you were able to actually survive a decent amount of time and actually get somewhere in this game, then you were basically the king of the local arcades. And back in those days, that was something. So I give the game 7 out of 10. It's certainly enjoyable. It's certainly it's certainly a challenge. Graphically, I think it looks fantastic. I think it still looks fantastic today. Back in the day, it looked amazing. The heavy sound effects and visual effects, which were the trademark of Williams and of the developer. This was Eugene Jarvis's first video game. Prior to this, he was really a pinball game designer. But yeah, visually and audibly, the game is superb. And yeah, the challenge is there, but it does take quite a lot of practice. You do need to get used to these controls, and yeah, they're not easy. That's the only issue I have with the game. If it was easier to actually control it, then I would certainly rate it more highly. But 7 out of 10 is not a terrible score by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, the game is pretty good. I still like playing it now, although as you can tell from these few goes I've had, I'm hopeless at the arcade original, so a lot of the time I play the later clones such as Star Ray on the Amiga. So there we go, that is Defender, 7 out of 10. Pretty good stuff. So that brings this review to an end, and we shall see you at the next one.